Welcome back, everybody. Tonight on Capralog, episode 3 of Higurashi When They Cry. Chapter 1. Just doing chapter 1. As I was just saying before the VOD kicked off, there's a playlist on YouTube that has everything that has been done so far. We're only about 2 hours into this damn thing, so I strongly encourage you to catch up. I hear a little buzz in my microphone. I don't know if that's being picked up on the stream. A very faint buzz. And it's not the cicadas. Let me see. Let me move some shit around and see. You don't think so? Okay. I think that cleared it up. Wherever I just moved this to sounds good. Okay. It's just on my end. So welcome in. First 2 episodes down. Very intriguing story so far. Definitely the most got my work cut out for me in the reading every single line of dialogue department. It is the protagonist and his 4 girl best friends in this tiny little town called Hinamizawa. He's the new kid in school. They're showing him around the town. They have lunch together every day, and they're all like middle and high school aged girls, and so it's like very high pitched voices and very I got my work cut out for me. So I've got some throat coat tea. One very fun thing about each episode so far is that when you complete the subchapter, you get tips, which I find very interesting. These are independent, individual, additional content, additional story content that is not directly relevant for the plot, but adds like very welcome context to situations, maybe just some additional slice of life sort of world building. In the last episode, we went to the dump with Rena, and we met, I always forget it, Tomitake? Is that his name? He's a photographer from out of town, and he was like, you guys hear? Like, the body that was chopped up into little bits, and they still haven't found the arm? I forgot about the Colonel Sanders doll. Yes. So the last episode, we took a tour of Hinamizawa, and we wound up at the end of the night with Rena going to the garbage dump that used to be a dam that they kind of gave up on the construction because there was a brutal killing of the foreman of the construction crew, and he was chopped up into little bits, and I don't know. It's been a week. We'll ease back into it. We'll get the conversation. We'll get the storyline going again and see how much I can grab onto again. But I'm really enjoying this structure of the story so far. And we're just going to keep it moving. At the end of chapter 2, beginning of chapter 3. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Let's dig in. As I have stated before with these streams, I am doing all the reading myself. So somebody on YouTube that saw one of the VODs was like, you should use the 07th mod. It gives you full voice acting plus new backgrounds and new sprites and new music that I like more. And I was like, funnily enough, I am using the 07th mod. But I set everything back to its original 2002 form. And they were like, all right, suit yourself. So if you're watching this far, YouTube commenter, let's dig in, baby. Here we go. So we are just going to continue right through because we read those tips at the end of the last stream.
A Colonel Sanders? Ah, of course. That's right up her alley.
I understand her wanting to take home Satoko and Rika-chan, but I can't understand the Colonel Sanders. What's so good about that four-eyed geezer?
probably better to hear it from Rena, don't you think? She'll probably just say, because it's so cute, though.
Does Rena often go to the construction site to hunt for treasure? Every now and then she says she's going to have a look. But a girl her age rummaging around in garbage is, well,
If Rena enjoys it, then I think it's fine.
what were they doing over there? Dam construction? It had been bugging me since yesterday, like an itch I couldn't scratch.
Oh, that was canceled a long time ago.
Everyone gathered together and fought against it. Hearing an ominous word like fought come from Rika-chan's mouth startled me.
That's right. It was unbelievable. They said Hinamizawa would be sunk into the reservoir, and we had no say in the matter.
So I'm only able to be here because the protest succeeded.
I'm sorry I didn't keep you, did I? Did I?
I think this is Satoko.
My deepest apologies, Keiichi-san. It took me a while to powder my nose.
Satoko, wait to use the can until you really have to go. It's a lot easier since it shoots right out.
Ugh! How dare you speak that way to a maiden of unparalleled beauty such as myself?
Who is she calling a maiden? If Satoko really was a maiden, she wouldn't have reacted like that. The usual hijinks ensued.
Now then, gentlemen, in accordance with the rules of our society, I bring a point to discussion. He, Keiichi Meibara-kun, wishes to be included as a member in our activities. What say you? Rena has no objection.
Oh, I wonder if the likes of this peasant is up to the task.
Me and Satoko both approve.
The three that Mion had queried voiced their approval.
A unanimous decision. Congratulations, Keiichi Meibara-kun. I present you the honor of being allowed to take the entrance exam for our club.
Start from the beginning. I didn't say I would join. What club is this?
What our club does, you see, in order to cope with our complicated society, we perform various activities under different sets of rules. Sometimes they're in your favor, and sometimes they work against you. I'm pretty weak, so I'd prefer if you didn't single me out. Let's try to get along.
You're so naive, Rena. The law of the jungle is survival of the fittest.
This was starting to sound a bit sketchy. So what kind of club was it?
To sum it up, it's a club where we play games together.
Rika-chan was the only one to answer my question with a pertinent response. So basically, this club put Mion's hobby of collecting games to use. By playing the various games that Mion had hoarded every day, it seemed that, depending on the day, there were prizes for the winner or a penalty for the person who finished in last place.
I'll make this clear right now. We aren't playing house here. You should treat each win or loss as if your life depends on it. All right?
What's wrong with just having fun? Don't make it sound so crazy.
The first rule of our society: aim only for first place. Going at it half-assed just because it's a game is not allowed.
Rule number 2 of our society. For that reason, you are obligated to make all possible efforts.
The way Satoko said it, it sounded like she was saying, use any means necessary.
Of course, I will do my best too. I'm pretty weak, but I'm trying my best.
I knew what they were trying to say. In a game where everyone is aiming for the top, it's rather unsportsmanlike to play just for fun. Alright, then I too will go all out. With that, I was finally ready for the rite of initiation, my baptism into the club.
A word of warning, Kei-chan. Rena can get pretty nasty.
This initiation looks like it's gonna be rough. Myeon began fishing around in the student lockers in the back of the room. They have the games here at the school? Well, it's club equipment, so I guess that's fine.
Complicated games would put K-chan at a disadvantage, so today we'll play a game that you should all be familiar with. How about a standard card game like Old Bachelor?
All right, let's do this.
Can't really get into it unless there's a penalty. This time, the loser will be sentenced to having their face drawn on. What do you think? Whoa, it won't be permanent marker, right? Right?
Permanent? She wants to draw on our faces with permanent marker?
That is perfect!
Satoko cheered the idea on. She didn't even flinch at the thought of such a severe penalty. It seemed like she was raring to go. If it's gonna be like this, then I can't lose either.
Then I'll just cut the deck and start dealing.
Old Bachelor is pretty much the same as Old Maid. There's only one difference. No Joker. In its place, one card is pulled out at the start, meaning there will be one card without a match left over at the end. You don't know which card you'll end up being the Joker. It's a pretty thrilling game. Let's go.
I'll take the card out now.
Myeon took one card and left it face down on the table. Everybody stared at the card intently.
Well, it'll be pretty obvious in the end game. No way to tell at the start.
But the rest of them were very serious. They didn't seem as relaxed as I was. They compared their cards to the one face down, all the while gauging each other's reactions. It was as if they could see what the face down card was. No, it couldn't be.
This deck is pretty worn out.
Wait, no way. Can everyone tell by the scratches what the card on the table is?
Remember the second rule of our society? Keiichi-san must try his hardest to win as well.
A number of cards are quite unique. Keiichi-kun should be able to remember them quite easily.
She said so matter-of-factly. It suits me fine. Don't think a little thing like that can be your crutch. I lashed out angrily, but it was rather obvious I was at a disadvantage. After all, they'd gone so far as to memorize the wear and tear of each individual card. This wasn't a simple game of Old Bachelor. If this was a test, then they were playing with the answer sheet in front of them. Bring it! I'll take advantage of your carelessness and beat you at your own game. That baseless confidence would soon be crushed.
How about I tell you your hand starting from the right? 3, 4, 9, Jack, Queen.
What?
By the way, the Bachelor is the Jack of Diamonds.
Ah!
I can tell that what they are even if you switch them around. I'm out.
Oh! I thought I was prepared, but for it to be this brutal, just overwhelming. Demons! You're all demons! Rena isn't a demon, are you?
Sorry, Keiichi-kun. This is the 3 of Hearts, isn't it? I'm out.
Ah! Not even a hint of mercy. Rena, even Rika-chan. These club activities weren't to be trifled with. An alumnus of this club would definitely survive even the cruelest of situations. If our entire class had self-detonating collars strapped to their necks and were dropped into a death match on a deserted island, oh man, these guys would probably take it like fish to water. I can already picture their joy as they hunt down each of their classmates.
It's a lowest point system. The order itself dictates the points, so whoever has the lowest point total wins. Since Keiichi finished last, he has 5 points.
There's already a 5 mark down on my scoreboard?
I think think it's unfair to Keiichi-kun if we don't use a new deck. It's fine. Kei-chan is a man after all. He can turn the tables even if the odds are stacked against him. Right?
It's fitting for a lowly peasant to scamper home and soak their pillows in tears, don't you think?
A petite hand laid itself on top of my head, which was trembling in uncontainable frustration. It was Rika-chan's.
Keep on fighting, yeah?
Thanks to Rika-chan's words of encouragement, I was able to calm down. You need to be calm, especially when you're cornered. That's the power I could muster during this crisis. Think clearly, Keiichi Maebara. Take your time and look at the cards carefully. It's just as Rena said, several of the cards have their own distinct markings, making them stand out. Okay, memorizing them should be pretty simple. So think about what you do in this situation. Try everything in your power to improve your chances of victory.
Whoa! Great, Keiichi-kun! Just like that!
I covered the uniquely marked cards with my hands, or other cards, arranging them in such a way that they couldn't be seen.
The one with the ripped corner should be a 5. And I'm out.
I couldn't let any of those precious hints slip by me. All information is a weapon. Then it was my turn. Satoko fanned her cards out for me. You see, I want the 7. Is it this one?
I wonder about that. You won't know unless you take it.
There was a bit of dismay in her expression, like she doesn't want it taken. That kind of expression. I won't let that momentary lapse slip by me. I know. It's this one. Got it. 7 of spades. A cheer of ooh rang out.
What is this? The 7 should be the hardest one of all to tell apart.
It wasn't from memorizing the markings. It was those slight changes in their expressions as I was selecting a card. They were enough.
Can't hide it from me, Kei-chan. This mark means it's the 2 of diamonds.
Huh?
She was startled by her own misread. Of course, everyone else was too.
Whoa! Oh, it's rare that Mi-chan gets a card wrong. No, Kei-chan, could it be you?
They told them apart by different marks. That mark was a nail scratch. So, I put a new one on it.
Are you saying he disguised it as the 2 of diamonds? What an impressive show of wit.
Keiichi landed a clean hit.
Clap, clap, clap.
That's great, Keiichi-kun. That was an incredible match, you know?
Having defeated the Forerunner Mion, my brilliant battle left me ecstatic. But by total points, it was already set in stone that Mion would win and I would finish last. I laughed haughtily, selecting the tone of my voice carefully to get on Mion's nerves. Well, I'm gonna end up the loser, but I'm satisfied in one-upping Mion at the end. That should be the proverbial slap in the face to Mion, who was already at the top already and ensured victory.
Even if Kei-chan gets first place this time, he'll still end up last place overall. Don't you hate that?
Of course I do.
Let's have a duel then. One chance. If you win, then we can swap first and last place. How about it? You up for it?
She fell for it. A chance for an upset that wouldn't have been possible without goading her into it. One chance, you say? Let me hear the rules. Mion discarded 2 cards from her hand and replaced one with the Joker card that was on the table, then shuffled the resulting hand behind her back.
The card in my right, or the card in my left. If Kei-chan can guess which hand the Joker's in, then he wins.
When you turned around just now, you didn't pull out the Joker, did you?
If you lose, I'll show you the card in the other hand. That okay?
The other 3 gulped nervously at this unexpected turn of events. All right, you've got it. Mion grasped 1 card in each hand and thrust them out at me. First, I needed to inspect them closely. The card on the right had no distinguishing marks. I couldn't tell which one it was.
Which one? Oh, I wonder. Keiichi-kun, be careful.
Yeah, of course. This is my chance for a big comeback. Looking closely at the card on the left, I saw a little wear, but it wasn't one I hadn't seen before.
That card is...
I didn't let that bit from Satoko slip by me. Myeon clucked her tongue. I didn't recognize the mark on the left card from the small number that I had memorized. I didn't know what the left card was, but I could tell from Satoko's reaction that the card had already appeared during the game. Since it had already appeared before, it meant that it definitely wasn't the Joker.
Ooh, Kei-chan thinks it's the one on the right. Will you choose that one then, will ya?
The left card definitely wasn't the Joker. And if I could trust that theory, then I should have been able to declare that the card to the right was the Joker. Even without Myeon's taunting, it was the one on the right that was the most suspicious. But wasn't it a bit too rash to decide solely based on Satoko's reaction? More carefully... Oh, I remember now! That mark! The left card! There's no doubt about it! It's the 7 of clubs!
It's the 7 of clubs. I see.
I've won! The card on the left was the 7 of clubs, so that meant the card on the right was the Joker. And then, just before my hand touched the right card, I froze. There was a wave of murmurs amongst the onlookers at my sudden halt, right before I confirmed the right card was the Joker.
Huh? What could Keiichi-san possibly be saying? I mean, it's the left one that's... Shh.
Oh, what makes you so certain that the right one isn't the Joker, Kei-chan?
Myeon let loose an unexpected question, and everyone else was baffled. I don't know what the card on the right could be, but I do know that the one on the left is the 7 of clubs.
Doesn't that leave the right one as the Joker? One of them has to be the Joker, right?
Yeah, one of those is the Joker, right?
Keiichi has good intuition.
Huh? Rika-chan, what do you mean by...
So basically, the 7 of clubs, I discarded that by matching it with Satoko's 7 of spades earlier. Everyone's attention snapped to the discard pile at the same time. The truth of the matter couldn't be discerned from that sloppy pile. So that means... Myeon pocketed one of the discarded cards, then aligned it over the left card, and that means...
I see! I get it! This left card is being disguised as the Joe 7 of clubs, right?
It was the first time since the start of the match that a shadow ran across Myeon's expression, and I didn't let that slip by. Then, with a grand flourish, I declared it loudly. The Joker is the left one! It was an intense moment. That 1 second felt like an eternity for everyone there. And breaking that silence, the first one to speak was Myeon.
Being the first president of this club, I've been witness to a variety of performances. And Kei-chan, yours is the best. The best of the best of the best!
That was probably the greatest compliment Myeon could give. Myeon accepted her defeat, dropping cards from both hands. My comeback victory! Rika-chan placed her hand on my head and began petting it, congratulating me on my victory.
Huh? Rika-chan is...
Rena and Satoko gasped at us as if they had seen a ghost. What is it, Rena? I mean, it's not as if I cheated or anything, right? This was fair and square.
Rika only pets someone on the head to console them.
Huh? What's the meaning of... At that moment, Rena let out a small shriek.
Keiichi-kun, this is how it was. You know, Kei-chan, I thought you read into it that far.
Everyone froze. No, It was just me. It was a gamble. If you had just jumped to conclusions like a little brat, then
It was a gamble. If you would have just jumped to conclusions like a little brat, then I would have lost.
It was the answer everyone was certain about. Mion picked up the card from the losing hand.
Kei-chan, you should take pride in this loss.
She turned it around, and that was the card that proclaimed the victor of this duel. That card under the 7 of clubs? Unbelievable! It was the 2 of diamonds. Oh, it was a setup behind a setup. Oh, if I just picked the right one without reading so deeply into it.
I, Mion Sonozaki, as this club's president, do accept Keiichi Maebara's membership into our club.
As I slumped to my knees, dazed, everybody let out a round of applause for the excellent effort I gave, despite my defeat.
The match is now over. Today's victor is me, Mion Sonozaki, and our exalted loser is Keiichi Maebara.
Everyone made a commotion, applauding cheerfully. I felt I was bested, but I was so soundly beaten that it was unexpectedly rather refreshing.
When Mi-chan pulled that little trick behind her back, I got so excited thinking, oh, she's gonna do it again.
When Keiji stopped the moment before touching the correct card, I thought he fell for it.
He fell for it quite handily.
Huh? Wait a minute. All of them knew from the start and still got so excited so earnestly?
Everyone got excited to make it more fun.
You're all demons! You monsters!
Now then, Kei-chan, it is time for your penalty. Since it's the first day of participating, I'll go easy on you, okay? It would be a problem if you refused to come to school.
The other 3 members held down my arms and shoulders firmly. Mion approached, licking her lips. Her right hand went to pull something out of her pocket. That's a felt-tip marker, and oh, it's a giant permanent one.
Okay, here we go.
She took the cap off the marker and brought it slowly up to my face while I was immobilized. No! I let out my death throes. That was fun. That was a fun scene. I'm all in. As soon as the club activities were finished, Rena flew off. Probably so she could dig out that cute Colonel Sanders that she wasn't able to take home yesterday. So today it was just Mion and me walking home together. A rather rare occurrence.
A mountain of treasure, huh? The guys throwing it away probably never thought in their wildest dreams that Rena would be grateful to them.
Mountain of treasure? Oh, meaning that dam construction site from before. Right, Mion would probably tell me. That murder by dismemberment that seemed to have happened there? Over there, at that dam construction site. Did something happen over there? Long ago?
Something sure did. A grand battle. There were sit-ins and demonstrations.
It was a bit different from what I wanted to hear, but I decided I'd listen to it just the same.
It was our land that was going to be sunk into the dam reservoir. I would have fought as well, probably. The government guys were really adamant about it, acting all big and full of ourselves. Since they figured out that they couldn't settle it with money, they did a bunch of nasty stuff. They were really nasty guys.
Mion spoke excitedly, as if the whole thing was happening right in front of her. I'm amazed you guys won. I mean, you were facing the federal government, right?
The mayor and prominent figures in the village all signed petitions. They went to Tokyo and struck deals with the legislators. And as a result, the development plan was retracted. It was our complete victory.
There wasn't any violence, was there? Like assaults or murders?
None.
She promptly cut me off. The same as Rena had. Her words signaled the end of discussion. Tomitake-san said one arm wasn't found in the incident. I thought that a murder by dismemberment had occurred, but I guess I was wrong. My curiosity unsated, I sighed dejectedly inside.
Later. See you tomorrow. Kei-chan. And you can't wash that off until you get home. Got it?
I got it. I won't. Mion held back her laughter while stealing glances at my face. I wonder what kind of nasty doodles they drew. Damn you, Mion. You shall rue this day. If our roles had ever reversed, I'm gonna go all out. All over your face so that you won't be able to take it off, even with a scouring pad. It's gotta be, right, Nancy? Upon arriving home, I ran straight into my mom, embarrassing myself yet again. The mood I'd come home to was already on edge. It's not an uncommon thing in our family. Whenever Dad can't come up with a good idea, it always ends up like this. He stomps around the house with his arms crossed. Mom whispered in my ear, "Welcome home, Keiichi. Dad, well, he's in a bit of a rut right now, so don't bother him, okay? He can't come up with a new idea? Oh, well, it's because the deadlines are so close together this time. Your dad needs time to recharge or he doesn't work as well. Dad's paintings feed our entire family, so if he runs out of ideas, then that's the end of the Meibaras. We've never gone hungry before. Could it be that my dad is a master painter? Wouldn't it be easier to get an idea by taking a walk outside rather than wandering around inside the house? Well, the theme of the piece this time is in the household, so it seems your dad wants to use this house as the motif. It's quite a bothersome motif. Keiichi. Oh, Keiichi, tidy your room for once in a while. Looks terrible. Sorry, I'll clean it up later. Oh, come on. Please don't use my room as the motif. Keiichi, there's still some time before dinner, so please go take a walk out back or something. Dad's moods are only temporary. As soon as he gets an idea, his mood improves, and he starts humming. Until then, it wouldn't be a bad idea to just go take a walk so I don't aggravate him further. Well, I guess I will then. I said I was going to take a walk, but I didn't have any particular destination in mind. I really just needed to kill some time. I got on my bike and pondered where to go. Well, I could just go read at the bookstore, but it would take about an hour by bike to get to town. It'd be dark by the time I got back, so I don't want to go unless I absolutely had to. The roads at night here in Hinamizawa creep me out. And if Mion or Satoko ever found out about that, I smiled wryly. Oh yeah. Reno is probably still at that mountain of treasure. The damn construction site. Yeah, Mom didn't care about the tattoo. Didn't matter. That excavation of Colonel Sanders was probably taking her a while. It wouldn't be so bad to have her owe me one. She might return the favor next time we have club activities. With a little bit of self-interest in mind, I set off toward the damn construction site. Tomitake-san might have been there as well. The only person with information about the incident that both Rena and Mion denied knowing anything about. If I met him again, I'd like to ask for more details. To ask him, was there really a dismemberment here? In Hinamizawa? That was my real intention. So remember, all of these photographs were photographs taken in a small town by Ryukishi07 and his brother, Yadazakura. During the development of this, they took trips to this small little mountain town and, just threw Photoshop filters on them. I spotted Rena struggling up on the slope of the garbage pile. It looked like Colonel Sanders was lodged in there pretty firmly. It didn't look like Rena would be able to excavate him by herself. And realizing that Tomitake-san wasn't around, I began climbing down the slope unsteadily. Hey, Rena! Looks like you're working up a sweat.
Keiichi-kun! What brings you to a place like this?
A place like this? Huh? I see. She was aware of it, at least. I received a signal for emergency assistance at the accident site. Where is the injured party?
Huh? Accident? Huh?
There was a report that Colonel Sanders was buried alive in a trash pile.
Huh? Oh, that. You scared me. Don't frighten me like that, Keiichi-kun.
I was just kidding. I thought you might be struggling by yourself, so I came to help you out.
You came for me? Oh.
Well, I filled my quota for today. If I don't see Rena blush at least once a day, then I'm not getting my daily required nutritional intake. I'm just kidding, you're embarrassing me now.
So, huh? What part was the joke? What part was it?
I just ignored her bewilderment. Okay, now move out of the way. So where is this Colonel Sanders?
Oh, sorry. Can't you see him in that gap?
Oh, he's really buried in there. The Colonel Sanders was sideways, surrounded by boards and other construction materials, like they were caging him inside. What's up, Firemachi? According to Rena, it wasn't like this yesterday. It seems as though another illegal dumper came yesterday, dumped again, and now he's buried like this. You're trying to move this pile all by yourself? With those scrawny arms? Oh, there's no way she'd be able to do that with her slender arms.
But, Colonel Sanders, so cute. There's a chain on the Colonel Sanders at the store, but this one, though, I should be able to take this one home. Oh.
If Rena gave up on this Colonel Sanders, she'll probably start devising a plan to steal the one in front of the store. As Rena's guardian, I won't allow her to sully her hands with crime. Out of the way, I'll do it. They have another, yeah, I found a picture, somebody did like fan art of Higurashi, of Rena with the Colonel Sanders. And I'll pull it up on stream really fast. I figured out that it's not a little doll. It is about that big. When she says that the one in front of the store is chained up, it's like a big mascot character in front of Japanese KFCs. This is by Pleasant Leech. Rena blushed again, but this time I left it alone. That pile was enormous. Also, the more days we wasted, the more likely another illegal dumping would occur. If it got buried any deeper, there'd be nothing that could be done.
Keiichi-kun, I'll help too. Let me help.
You'd just get in the way, so stay back. Pulling out scraps, bending them, tossing them aside, I quickly became covered in sweat and dust. Flying objects drew beautiful arcs across the twilight sky, one after another. Lumber, timber, plywood, damn it! No matter how much I threw out, there was still more. Even though I could see Colonel Sanders, he was right there. After grandstanding like that in front of Rena, I felt frantic because of how little I'd progressed. If I was gonna do this seriously, I'd need an axe or a saw or something.
That's enough, Keiichi-kun. You're so sweaty. You don't have to try so hard.
I'm just doing it for you, Rena, so don't worry about it. Rena began sputtering and her face turned beet red. Whoops, what I meant to say is I was trying my best so as to keep her from becoming a criminal. Oh well. I guess I just need a break. This is pretty tough. I sprawled on my back over the grassy slope. Yeah, we're pretty early on, Firemachi. So we're just doing chapter 1. So we're only doing Onikakushi Hen. And I'm doing one sub-chapter a week. So I'm only doing like 45, 50 minutes of the game every week. I'm really taking it slow. There are 13 sub-chapters in the first chapter. And so I'm spreading this out over the next few months. Just doing a real, like an episode of a TV show at a time. I'm so sorry. You're covered in... Oh, that's her. Sorry.
I'm so sorry. You're covered in sweat.
Rena patted her handkerchief against my forehead. It felt pretty nice.
Well, wait here a minute, okay? My house is pretty close. I'll bring you some barley tea, okay?
Leaving the handkerchief on my forehead, Rena took off running. See the minion in the back? The cries of the Higurashi gently cooled the air. After I was certain that Rena was gone, I picked myself up and headed toward what I'd discovered earlier. That was a garbage pile of magazines and newspapers, bound up in twine. Unless I'm mistaken, I believe it was around here. There it was. They were bound stacks of not-so-reputable tabloids. They were stacked chronologically, going back quite a few years. It was quite a disturbing incident, and they still haven't found one of the arms. If it was just as Tomitake said, then undoubtedly there would be mention of the murder. These are troubled times, and there's no end to these sickening incidents. There's a large part of society drawn in by these incidents as well, so it had to be recorded somewhere. I unfastened the packages and opened the rain-soaked pages carefully, looking over the table of contents. Not here. Next one. Not here. Next one. It was hard to search since I didn't know when it happened. I didn't know who the perpetrator was or who the victim was either. I only knew that it had happened here. I looked up every so often, checking to see if Rena had come back or not. I wouldn't want her to see me gawking at a dirty magazine, but it wasn't just that. Both Rena and Myon said that they didn't know. But it had happened. I mean, without a doubt. As long as Tomitake-san wasn't lying. So if both Rena and Myon... yeah, there was. If they had just said that, I wouldn't have gotten so hung up on it. An incident that neither Rena nor Myon wished to talk about. Trying to uncover it after they tried to conceal it out of the good intentions, it made me feel like I was acting against my friends. Hinamizawa dam worker lynching, murder by dismemberment. Here it is! The featured article was in the back, and it seemed that there was a photograph in the colored pages at the front. The pages of the featured article were stuck together and weren't easy to open. When I could return at any moment. Feeling rushed, I gave up and opened the photograph page. Police investigators carrying a body bag and newspaper reporters were all bathing it in camera flashes. The image was blurry and hard to understand, but I could definitely make out the headlines. A tragic nightmare at the Hinamizawa construction site, lynching and murder dismemberment. The victim was the site foreman. He'd assaulted his assailants daily with an explosive backlash from his daily actions. It's a horrible image to see the site foreman as... Oh my god, it happened. It really did happen. Well, it seemed like the details were on the next page. I turned the page without pausing. On it was... The assailants butchered the victim's body with hatchets and pickaxes, then used an axe to split the cadaver into 6 pieces: head, arms, legs, and torso. I could understand just from the headline that it was, just too terrible an incident. Normally, a lynching is just assault and murder, right? And dismemberment with hatches and pickaxes? That wasn't a lynching. It was a merciless killing to the letter, a brutal murder done by a group of people. I realized I said hatches instead of hatchets. Whatever. With axes. With pickaxes. With an axe. Sorry.
Did I startle you? Did I startle you?
Rena dropped the axe she was holding onto the grass after being startled by my voice.
Keiichi-kun, you... See, earlier... Yeah, you said it would help if you had an axe or something, didn't you? So then I brought an axe for you, from the shed.
Rena fluttered her arms in a panic, continuing to explain and apologize. It seemed I'd been glaring at her pretty intensely. It's such a different vibe watching this game with zero mods. Yeah, it's cool. So we did a lot of like historical, established the lore and the context of how all of this came to be. It's in a YouTube video if you're interested in watching, because I know, for context, Firemachi's reading through this themselves too. They're much farther than we are, but they are reading through it themselves. Pretty fun, pretty exciting that it's both happening two different places on Twitch with, relative mutual links between us. I started this stream with a how it all began presentation, and we dug into the history of Rikishi 07. We learned about like Comiket Dojin culture in the early 2000s, how 07th expansion started. I compiled it all into a presentation. It's about 40 minutes. But if you want to learn like really early how this came to be, him and his brother Yadazakura and Type Moon, Tsukihime was a big inspiration. Leaf, the visual novel studio Leaf, was a huge influence. Really interesting. And the game came out August of 2002. I think August 15th or something like that. August 20th, something. I don't remember the exact day. And I want, as part of like this whole channel's identity, I like to play things as close to their original release as possible. Kind of like take us back in time to that release day. So obviously I can't read Japanese. But yo, what's up, Street? But what I have done is all original backgrounds, all original sprites, original music, no voice acting, all of that stuff, and trying to really absorb it in its OG context in full. And it is a totally different vibe because the game became so huge. But this original copy at Comiket 62 sold like 10 to 15 copies. It wasn't a big hit at all until like I think like the third, fourth, fifth chapter. By the time the fifth chapter came out, it was pretty huge. But this was just like they were making effectively like fan art cards for a card game called Leaf Fight, and they ran out of things to make cards about. It's like if you made like custom Yu-Gi-Oh cards or custom Pokemon cards. They used to go to Comiket and just sell these cards for this game called Leaf Fight with like Cardcaptor Sakura art on it and stuff like that. And then whatever, he had this story called Hinamizawa Bus Stop. His brother was like, what the hell are we going to do? We're running out of things to make cards about. Hey, Tsukihime was huge. And Nscripter, the engine that they used to make, it's pretty easy to write in. I could learn how to program if you want to adapt that old story into something. And so, lo and behold, here it was. But they were like a card company and had no history with this at all. And so it was not a hit. And so I think like with that in mind, with that context, all the funky art and all the like ham hands and all that is so endearing. Because you have to think about it, like, he was really only making this for himself and, like, friends. And just how it grew out of that. This was, like, his mascot character that he made up. It's so cool. I'm sorry. I guess my reaction was a bit overboard.
No, I'm sorry as well. I'm sorry.
Night was drawing close. I was pretty worn out, and it wouldn't hurt to do the rest tomorrow. Doesn't look like we can break that last beam without that axe. You brought it after all, so I'll have to borrow it tomorrow. All right?
Okay.
Why do you look so glum? Tomorrow we'll be digging out Colonel Sanders, right?
You're right. I really want to take Colonel Sanders home soon.
We both knew that it was useless to apologize any more than that. I quenched my thirst with the barley tea Rena brought, and wiped off the sweat that had now gone cold. We took the path to head home. I felt quite guilty about the tabloid wrapped up in my jacket. Sick. 2 new tips. End of chapter 3. We'll read these tips and then we'll wind down episode 3 of Higurashi Onikaku Shihen. Here we go. New tips. Number 1. The Hinamizawa Dam Project. October 1975. In accordance with the Prime Minister's Bulletin Number Hinamizawa's Electrical Development Master Plan was announced. The vast scope of the projected Hinamizawa Dam was to have an incredibly heavy impact on the village of Hinamizawa. Hey, Street, thank you so much for gifting a tier 1 sub to Higurashi_game. Thank you, truly, thank you. I kind of just I was in my, talking about the history zone, and I totally just glossed over. That wasn't just a what's up cap. That was a gifted sub. So thank you so much. Hope you're doing well tonight, dude. The area to be flooded by the Hinamizawa Dam would include the 5 areas of Hinamizawa, Takatsuro, Kyotsu, Matsumoto, and Yagochi. The submerged area would include 291 houses. Population 1,251. 1 elementary school, 1 middle school, 1 post office, 1 agricultural cooperative, 1 forestry department lumberyard, 5 shrines, 2 temples, and 1 fishery. All of these communal, cultural, agricultural areas and places of worship were to be indefinitely submerged at the bottom of the artificial lake basin. Forsaking the hundreds of years our ancestors poured their blood and sweat into this fertile, resource-rich land was just too painful to bear. All the residents having homes that were to be submerged banded together and created the Onigafuchi Guardians. The dam project was halted, and petitions to alter the plan were circulated. The citizens sought peaceful negotiations, but the government and its puppet company openly refused. Performing unspeakable heinous acts, they quashed the democratic actions of the villagers. But the villagers did not falter. Instead, they banded together even more closely and steeled their resolve to protect their homes to the death. The continuation of that frightening Hinamizawa Dam construction project is still stalled as of today. The villagers understand that the stalling was caused by the sublime power through unity, and they understand that this fearsome plan has not yet been fully withdrawn. The Onigafuchi Guardians had been dissolved after it did its part, but the feelings of unity it garnered have not yet been extinguished. As long as that passion resides in the heart of the residents, they'll be able to confront whoever next decides to sink their homes into a lake basin. Onigafuchi Guardians Committee Chairman Kiichiro Kimiyoshi. And one last special tabloid report. So I found a quote in a later interview about these tips, about where these tips came from, and it was partnered in with one of Ryukishi 07's chief influences on Higurashi When They Cry. He had a long, descriptive explanation about how these came to be, and for him, it started with his relative disappointment that the Blair Witch Project didn't take off in Japan the way that it did in America. The Blair Witch Project was one of his favorite movies and was one of the chief influences on Higurashi. And when the Blair Witch Project was coming out in the late 90s in the United States, it was one of the first multimedia ARG sort of web campaign type stories where the movie that you watched was only part of the Blair Witch Project experience. There were websites and fake news postings and different things all around where you could like clamor together and put together a wider story than what the film expressed. And he wrote these tips directly influenced by the Blair Witch Project and how he wanted that feeling, but in a way that was Japanese first and could resonate with Japanese audiences, because he was bummed out that so much of that got lost in translation from English to Japanese, which I think is really cool. I haven't done all the digging and all of the research as far as the backstory of Blair Witch Project. In fact, before hearing him talk about it, I didn't even know that that part of it necessarily even existed. I've seen the movie, of course. I do want to screen the movie in the Discord as part of this playthrough. I think that that would be really cool and really important to kind of give us. There are a couple of films that I want to watch as part of Season 1. Obviously, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Blair Witch Project, Dune, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, for sure. History of Blair Witch is neat. You know, it's funny. My dad went to high school with an older brother of one of the guys. That's the only Blair Witch thing I know, is that one of the guys in the Blair Witch Project is like younger than my dad, like substantially younger than my dad, but he knows, like, my dad knows the family. Yeah, kind of cool. Okay, last one. Special tabloid report. I do want to show Blair Witch Project in the Discord at some point. So if you're not in the Discord, join up. Maybe I'll do like the live stream, watch the movie while the video is playing in the Discord, and kind of do like a live commentary hangout sort of thing coming up in the next couple of weeks. Special tabloid report. Nightmare befalls the Hinamizawa Dam. Lynching and murder dismemberment. On the blank day of the blank month in the blank prefecture, at the Hinamizawa Dam construction work site in Shishibone City, a bone-chillingly gruesome murder dismemberment. Even though this case has shocked the archipelago, the police will give no details on the case. Exactly what happened at the Hinamizawa Dam. They probably didn't mean to kill him at first, but as the victim resisted by swinging around a shovel, the rest of the perpetrators armed themselves in return, and it quickly escalated to homicide. So said the aforementioned Investigator A. After this bloody tragedy was over, they were left with a body which nobody could have mistaken as alive. Blankson had tormented the suspects daily with his rough behavior. At first, it was meant to be a payback. All the perpetrators were horrified by their deed, and one even turned himself in to the police. It was the de facto leader of this group who suggested hiding the body. Reluctantly at first, they soon began to think they did not wish to be caught. The construction site had numerous places to hide the body with 6 people. They were originally supposed to hide the body and leave the area, but the de facto leader feared that the consciences of the other 5 wouldn't be able to bear the burden, and came up with a horrifying method to keep them from turning him into the police. He devised a heinous method of splitting up the body among them, and making each of them responsible for hiding one piece. Blank had turned a simple manslaughter into a gruesome dismemberment, and forcibly involved each perpetrator in order to create a sense of unity between them. Each one participated. But what does this mean? Person A spoke out reluctantly. Blank had ordered each and every one of them to dissect a piece for themselves. They were hesitant at first, but nobody refused. In for a penny? In for a pound was what that meant. Thus, an unimaginable bloody ceremony began. The perpetrators wept and vomited as they performed this gruesome task. There was one person who stubbornly refused, but Blank threatened them, saying nothing would change if someone else ended up dead, and he gave up in his objections. But Blank's plan collapsed in the span of one night. Another Blank, who had refused to dissect the corpse up until the last moment, had broken down into tears at the hospital where he was being treated for an injury sustained during the scuffle, and confessed. The criminals were arrested one after another, but the de facto leader, Blank's whereabouts are still unknown. Also, the right arm hidden by him was yet to be found. Despite an ongoing search, this horrible individual has so far managed to elude law enforcement. What could the police be doing? It appears that Blank had said he was going to throw the body into the swamp. Blank's car was discovered abandoned near the swamp, but there were no clues to his whereabouts. So he didn't trust his companions. One cannot deny the possibility that he had expected his companions to confess to the police and used his car as a decoy. Of course, I doubt that theory. Since he has no car, one would have expected him to have a limited area to which he could have escaped to. But within the station, there were rumors going around that he had accidentally slipped and drowned in the swamp when he went to throw away the body. To the locals, that swamp is believed to be bottomless. It's known as Onigafuchi, the Demon's Abyss, and it's said that the bottom of the swamp is connected to the hellish world of demons. The atrocious demon from hell that was him. Could it be that he had returned to hell through that swamp? The Zijin Dragon, bringer of luck and fortune. Prosperous future, ladies leaping into your arms, business success, promotions, ambition, protection from harm. Not just with pachinko and horse races, but business and even love. Guaranteed or your money back. Zijin Dragon Bracelet DX. One piece, 27,800 yen. We're putting the pieces together, dude. There's a lot of pieces to put together, but we are putting the pieces together here with the end of Chapter 3 of Higurashi. I loved the card game. That was so fun. Having a little bit of like double, triple, Uno reverse cards. A little bit more, digging into the Hinamizawa Dam project and what happened. Having Rena sneak up on us, bringing us the axe, a little bit of an unsettling situation there as we're hunched over trying to read. It rocks. It rocks so far for everybody who's learning and going on this journey with me. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. And for those that have experienced this before, I hope you're having fun seeing it from this context, this perspective with this voice. Because I have fun with these VN streams. I think they're great. I think winding down every Sunday, every weekend with a little snippet of a story is such a fun thing. And I can't wait to keep it going for the next, 10 weeks for Higurashi Chapter 1. Just a reminder, we are just doing Chapter 1. Once Onikakushi Hen ends, we will be going to something else, and we'll go back for the second one, which I think is Watanagashi Hen, at another time. Sometime maybe like end of winter, early spring, sort of. I don't know. We'll feel it out. But we're taking it slow. This is not going to be, I'm not shotgunning the next 2.5 years of Higurashi. No, because this came out in August of 2002. Watanagashi came out in December, and then the third one, which I don't remember the name of, I think took another full year. I don't want to do it in exactly that release context, but I do want to kind of take my time and enjoy my time with this. Yeah, I think it was August 15th that it came out of 2002. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. If you're watching the VOD, I'll see you on the next one. I hope to. If you've made it this far, check out the Dark Sector playthrough. It's really fun. Having a good time with that. Playing more Dark Sector this week, and then moving to the next game after that. Season 1 is really rolling. So, thanks everybody.